guys, welcome to this new video. Today we're watching TikTok compilation.
Some facts that
Scary
you
one.
probably didn't know that one day could save your life. Part 2. If you ever fall off the edge of a subway platform and onto the tracks,
That's lagging and it's
some
probably.
facts that you probably didn't know that one day
Ugh.
could save your life. Part 2. If you ever fall off the edge of a subway platform and onto the tracks, don't waste your time trying to crawl back up. There's a crawl space built for a person to go underneath in case this happens. If you ever for some reason ingest windshield wiper fluid or antifreeze, drink large amounts of vodka to keep it from shredding your kidneys to give you time to get to a hospital. If a tornado looks like it's not moving, it's actually moving toward you. If you accidentally disturb a beehive or wasp nest, do not run for the water. They'll wait for you to resurface and then resume stinging you. Just run as fast and as far away as you can, because eventually they'll stop following you. If a deer is running across the road, it's better to hit it than swerve and run into a ditch. But if there's a moose in the middle of the road, swerve and run into a ditch. Hitting a moose is like running into a brick wall.
We almost hit a moose when I was in the car.
Curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 18.
When?
When did this happen? Yeah.
When I was 7 and went to my cousin's house. Anyways.
A man from Queens once spent 5 months in jail completely unaware that his bail was just $2. Since spiders molt, when you see what you might think is a dead spider, it could just be that the spider left behind its exoskeleton and is now bigger than before. Dr. Seuss cheated on his wife while she had cancer, and then she proceeded to commit suicide. Almost everyone on Earth is walking around with a bunch of poop
Dr.
inside of
Seuss is an asshole.
Scientists accidentally killed the world's oldest living animal, which was a clam that lived to be 507 years old. Statistically speaking, at least one person who comments on this video will not be alive tomorrow. The real reason you shouldn't eat raw cookie dough isn't because of getting sick from eating raw eggs. It's because you shouldn't eat raw flour, which contains fecal matter from all the birds flying over the field and pooping on the wheat.
Damn.
This Aztec Whistle is one of the scariest sounds you will ever hear. When odd skull-shaped grave items were found by archaeologists decades ago in an Aztec temple in Mexico, they were thought to be ornaments or toys and were cataloged and stored in warehouses. But years later, experts discovered that they were actually creepy death whistles that the Aztecs used in ceremonies, sacrifices, and in battle to strike fear within their enemies. And when these whistles were finally blown, they made piercing noises resembling the sound of a human howling in pain. Haunting photos taken seconds before the end. Part 1. The woman in this photo, Courtney Sanford, took this selfie and posted it to Facebook with the caption, "The happy song makes me so happy." A few seconds later, she collided with a recycling truck in a fiery blaze that claimed her life. This photo shows a man named John Jones who was exploring Utah County's Nutty Putty Cave. While he was exploring, he became stuck and was trapped upside down for 12 hours until he died due to cardiac arrest. This is the last picture ever taken by Filipino politician Ronaldo Dogsa, who accidentally captured the face of his assassin and moments later was shot and killed. This photo from a surveillance cam shows 2-year-old James Bulger holding the hand of a 10-year-old boy at a shopping mall in England. The 10-year-old boy, along with one of his friends, abducted, tortured, and murdered James, making them the youngest killers in British history.
Jesus. You're like, he didn't give us
Hurling
candy
facts
money.
that you wish you never knew.
No, they did much worse than that. They R-worded him.
Oh.
And I remember hearing a documentary about it. Because my mom watches a lot of documentaries and she's like, this could have happened to you, Clark. Not.
Part 17. There's an 8-year-old boy named Amarjit Sada who became the world's youngest serial killer after murdering his 6-year-old cousin, his baby sister, and a neighbor's newborn daughter. The CIA has a legitimate heart attack gun, and it was exposed to the public in the late 1970s. Project Sunshine was research conducted by the US government in which, after the atomic bombings on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, a network of agents was recruited to locate recently deceased children and steal their body parts for testing on radiation. Both the US and Russia used dolphins and whales to spy on various countries. The FBI sent an anonymous letter to Martin Luther King Jr. telling him to kill himself. It reads, "King, there is only one thing left for you to do. You know what it is." Guys, I just released my first YouTube video. I'm sure you'll love it. Link in bio.
You know what it is.
Can't take it anymore, Mr. Nibbles. It's always yo death knight, buff my arm.
I love this
Get
character.
yourself sacrificed.
Like, look at him. He's so cute. Nigel, look at him.
The guy from Raid Shadow Legends.
Yeah, but he's so
Kidding, right?
adorable.
I'm not a champion.
Look at him. He's so cute.
If you scare easily, I wouldn't watch till the end of this video. On the evening of June 23rd, 2012, a 16-year-old boy named Michael was reported missing after going for a late-night dive with some friends. Nearly an hour later, the Coast Guard was called to retrieve the boy, and at about 2 a.m., a diver was doing body recovery in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. After about 45 minutes of searching, the diver began to experience decompression sickness, so he began to ascend back up to the surface. As soon as he came back up, one of his crewmates yelled and said that their chief needed them back in 20 minutes, so they only had enough time for one last ascent.
Sneeze.
As the diver went deeper and deeper, he began feeling around for any signs of the missing boy, but unfortunately, he had zero luck. That is until he stumbled upon an old, rusted bicycle that appeared to be covered in blood. This was a good sign that the boy was near, so he began to reach his hands out feeling for the body when this happened. Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew, part 16. Kangaroos are absolutely terrifying, and if you mess with one, it will likely lure you into the water and attempt to drown you. There's an abandoned Disney park that you aren't allowed to go to, and it was shut down in 1999 because it was infested with free-roaming alligators, the animals were being abused, and an 11-year-old boy died from a flesh-eating bacteria found in the park's waters. In the movie The Wizard of Oz, the lion's costume was made out of a real skinned lion. This is the John Lawson house. No one knows who lives there, but every single day, there are several female mannequins sitting on the front porch wearing a variety of clothing. Their positions and outfits change daily, and many believe this is meant to convey some sort of message. And in 1871, a train crash took place just 200 feet away from the home, killing 22 people. And these mannequins are always pointing toward the crash. Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew, part 15. When penguins can't find love, they waddle off to die alone. Former US politician stated that House of Cards is one of the most accurate depictions of American politics that he's ever seen. Deer like to lay on decaying corpses because they produce heat and they like the way it feels against their body. Basically, deer treat corpses like their own personal sauna. When a barcode is scanned, it's actually scanning the white parts of the code. You may never know if you've gone insane. And you could be bleeding internally right now and not even know it until it's too late. Since 2012, the US military has lost more soldiers to suicide than to combat or other accidents. When you begin to realize just how dangerous escalators are, it is shocking that they still exist. And if you get caught in one, your chances of survival are almost zero. When Tarsiers get too stressed out, they commit suicide by repeatedly banging their heads against a tree. Surgery predates anesthesia.
Cool.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 14. There was a woman in the 18th century named Mary Toft who shoved dead rabbits inside of her and later acted as if she gave birth to them. And the doctors actually believed her until one of them discovered corn inside one of the rabbit's stomachs.
Yep.
More people have tapeworms than have dogs, which I guess makes them the most popular pet. Oh yeah, and this is what it looks like up close. So you know how every few pistachios you eat, there's always one that tastes a little bit different? Well yeah, it's because there's a dead navel orange worm inside of it. An octopus's penis is actually one of its tentacles, so if you ever got to pet one at SeaWorld, you might have just groped the damn thing. Dying from starvation is because your body used all of its resources in order to feed your brain. And as a last resort, it begins to digest the muscle around your most vital organs until all that's left is your heart. So you die by eating your heart. This 17-year-old boy died after a 911 dispatcher says, "Deal with it yourself." In 2015, a teenage girl named Esperanza made a 911 call after her friend Jaden was shot in a drive-by shooting at a house party. Matthew Sanchez, the dispatcher who answered the call, quit his job after the following audio clip was released to the public.
Keeping him alive. Okay, is he not breathing? Barely. Hey, one of us. There you go, Jaden. One of us. Yes. There you go, Jaden. Good job. Just stay with me, okay? Okay? There you go. Good job, Jaden. Is he breathing? He's barely breathing. How many times did the tell you? Okay, you know what, ma'am? You can deal with yourself. I'm not gonna deal with this, okay? No, my friend is dying.
Motherfucker!
What?
Did you see that, Nigel? Did you see that?
That guy? Did that guy get fired?
No, he left.
This is the haunting true story of Jennifer's solution. Jennifer Pan was an Olympic caliber figure skater and straight A student who won many scholarships and early acceptance to college. Her parents had high expectations and wanted Jennifer to do well in college so that she could become a successful pharmacist. But this all changed in 2010 when police received a horrifying phone call.
What's your name?
My name is Jennifer.
Door just broke in?
Don't broke in and I heard shots like pops. I don't know what's happening. I'm tied upstairs.
Jennifer made this disturbing call to police right after she
I'll be right
witnessed
back.
3 men
I'm
break into her
gonna
home
go
and murder her mother and leave her father fatally
get
injured.
myself something to
But
eat.
the next day, when Jennifer was being interviewed by police, she admitted that she was the one to hire the killers. Jennifer then told the officers that her parents were putting so much pressure on her to succeed that the only way she could get freedom was by hiring 3 hitmen to kill them and make it look like a home invasion. Horrifying videos found on the dark web, part 1. And before I start this series, I want to clarify what I mean by the dark web. Basically, it's the part of the internet that isn't accessible to the rest of us, where illegal and criminal activities take place. The following video was posted to YouTube anonymously in 2014, and is entitled Blank Room Soup.
Huh?
The video is believed to have originated from the dark web, and shows a shirtless man crying, being forced to eat the organs of his wife and kids, while 2 masked figures stand over him. This video shows a girl trapped in what's known on the dark web as a red room. This is basically a place where people pay money to watch others being tortured on a live stream, and she's currently fending off her attackers who win and the show begins. Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew, part 13. Hundreds of thousands of bodies have either been lost or buried at sea, so every time you swim in the ocean, you're basically bathing in a graveyard. Chainsaws were originally invented for childbirth. Female mummies in ancient Egypt were always decomposed more than the male ones, and this is because the male bodies were embalmed a lot sooner while the female bodies were kept at the family home until they started to decompose a little bit. And this was to prevent people from having sex with the dead female bodies. Vlad the Impaler was called this because he would place his enemies ass first on pointed poles that would slowly skewer them to death. Fatal familial insomnia is a disease where a person literally cannot go to sleep no matter what they take or what they do. The symptoms get progressively worse until they die of exhaustion. And for the last one, you might want to look up who invented blow-up dolls. Extremely disturbing interviews with evil people, part 1.
You know what, guys? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
Arthur Shawcross was an American serial killer that had a very bizarre story that's commonly used as an example of the flawed justice system in the US. He was first charged with a 5-year sentence after committing robbery and arson, but was released only 22 months in after rescuing a guard from a prison riot. His crimes didn't stop there though, because in 1972 he murdered a 12-year-old girl and a 10-year-old boy, but surprisingly was only given 14 years for his crimes. But he was released early yet again because an inexperienced prison staff said that Arthur was by no means dangerous. He murdered 12 people over 2 years, and in this interview he describes killing his cleaning lady, Dorothy.
She was found with her head removed. That's right. How did that happen? Easy, just pick it up and move it.
Oh my god.
Pull the head off. Yeah, it was already on.
Oh yeah.
Uncurdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 12. When a person is electrocuted via electric chair, they feel absolutely everything. They're completely aware of their body being deep fried in real time. And one person who survived the first round of electrocution said it tasted like cold peanut butter. As you're watching this video, your internal organs are constantly moving around inside you. Your armpit is where most of your important nerves in your arms are, so if you stab it, it will leave your arm completely useless. Ted Bundy, the serial killer, used to work at a suicide hotline. Scaphism was a form of ancient torture where someone's body was tied between two boats and they were covered in milk and honey, and bugs and other animals would feast on their body for days. Cotard's delusion is a rare condition where people literally think they're dead, and many of them ask to be taken to a cemetery to be with other dead people. 15-month-old baby kept disappearing from her crib in the middle of the night until her mom decided to install a security camera. 15-month-old Chloe had her own bed with safety guards. Every night her parents, Chris and Nina, would put their baby daughter to bed and close the door so they could get some sleep. Until one morning, Nina woke up early and went into the kitchen to make some breakfast. As she was making her coffee, she looked over and was shocked to find Chloe playing with her toys in the living room, surrounded by the family's 2 golden retrievers. Chris and Nina immediately checked her bed and couldn't understand how she got out of the room because she wasn't tall enough to reach the doorknob. The parents thought this was a one-time thing, but it happened time and time again, so one day they decided to install a baby cam in Chloe's bedroom. And the next morning, after Chloe had escaped again, they went to the baby cam to see what had happened, and they were absolutely shocked by the footage. Like for part 2. This 15-month-old baby kept disappearing from her crib in the middle of the night until her mom decided to install a security camera. Part 2. Chloe's parents, Chris and Nina, watched the recording in absolute fascination. Around 6 a.m., Chloe's door burst open and 2 golden retrievers came in to wake her up. It was the family dogs, Colby and Blue, and they didn't feel like waiting, so they burst into Chloe's room early to play with her. They woke Chloe up by licking her face repeatedly until she got out of bed and walked into the hallway to follow the dogs into the family room to go play. Finally, Chris and Nina had an explanation for Chloe's escapes, but given that it was the family's dogs, they weren't too worried about it.
No, that's so sweet.
This is the story of the haunting exorcisms of Anneliese Michel. In 1968, when she was just 17 years old, a German girl named Anneliese Michel started experiencing devilish hallucinations and a voice telling her that she was damned to hell. Her mother first became concerned when she witnessed Anneliese staring furiously at a statue of the Virgin Mary, with her eyes turned jet black and her hands seemed to turn into thick paws with claws. She also started doing extremely disturbing things, such as licking her own urine off the floor, eating flies and spiders, and exhibiting signs of superhuman strength. A priest named Father Wren soon began performing exorcisms on her, and the following clips are from recordings of these exorcisms.
Well, anyways, guys, thank you for joining me on this wonderful video, even though Nigel couldn't join us for the rest of it. Well, I hope you all had a wonderful time. I sure did. Anyways, have a good day, my dears.